Dick Hanna Dealerships presents the Postgame Scoreboard Show on the Fan Sports Network. Dick Hanna, believe in nice.
Here's that power to Grace up at the fullback out of that I formation. Dante under center. Davison behind to the I. Turn, give to Davison going right, trying to cut it back. I don't know, going to be tough. Did he get there? Yes, touchdown! Jordan Davison. Not easy, no, but he got there.
A comprehensive recap of today's game with the players and coaches you want to hear from.
Touchdown, Oregon!
Up-to-the-minute traffic to get you home. And our game day crew of Andy Johnson, Dusty Hara, and former Duck star Anthony Newman joining the show. Oregon Ducks football on the Fan is brought to you by Coors Light, Dick Hanna Dealerships, Philbrook Law, Zoom Care, Bellagio's Pizza, Langdon Farms Golf Club, Wilsonville Toyota, Mountaintop Metal Roofing, Victor Rico's Mexican Food, Legends Casino Hotel, Mods PDX, and Laurelhurst Market Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. The Dick Hanna Dealerships Post-Game Scoreboard Show on 105.1, 1080, and the Odyssey app starts now. Here's your hosts, Joe Fisher and Jordan Schultz.
It's a Friday night. The Ducks get a dub. Let's party.
Yeah!
It's time for the
drinks.
Yes, yeah, there might be one to the right of me. There may or may not be one.
If I weren't recovering from being sick still, I would have one with you, my friend. But
I hear alcohol kills germs.
You know what?
Alcohol kills germs.
Give me a good Long Island iced tea then. Everybody else that is not driving and safely home or at an establishment where you can drink, please crack one open for me.
Or if you're on your way home, but someone else is driving, I hope you cracked plenty before, during, and after the game in the tailgate.
Yes.
Because it was a great day to be a Duck as they beat Minnesota 42-13. Welcome into the Dick Hanna Dealerships post-game scoreboard show. I am Joe Fisher III. Across the faux marble table is Jordan Schultz. Across the glass is Brandon Henson. We are rocking with you for the next hour and a half up until midnight. And I'm glad we're doing this for a home game, because if this was an away game and we were here doing this late at night, not as fun. So people back on the road, heading back up to Salem, Portland, Vancouver, or heading south, heading wherever you came from to Watson Stadium to watch that game. And not only watch that game, but watch a game in a dry environment. Thank God for normal weather for 1 week. I mean,
60 degrees when I drove in tonight. I was like, wow, what perfect conditions for a Friday night football game in not like mid-October, mid-November, dude. It's usually really ass cold by now.
No, it was a breath of fresh air after what Duck fans and myself experienced down at Autzen against Wisconsin, after what we witnessed against Iowa last week. It was like, can we just get a normal game once, please? So
no more trench foot.
Yes, so we can see this Oregon team at its full potential, and boy, we got that, and it was really an impressive showing on both sides of the ball. We're going to get to all the stats, break down all the team individual stats, the performances, what we saw out there, but really just an impressive offensive showing and defensive, but the offense looked great, especially coming off of a short week where you had to travel back, and you played a physical game against an Iowa team last week, and Minnesota, they themselves coming off of a bye week. I know that, coming to Autzen is not an easy task for any road team, but Minnesota, they had a little bit of extra time to prepare. The Ducks had one less day to prepare. And again, after that game against Iowa, the way that they looked tonight on both sides of the ball, but just offense, very impressive win for the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, Joe, thinking tonight that Oregon kind of needed a get-right game offensively, and this was the exact kind of game as a fan that I wanted to see. And starting off, I mean, this was the first time that Oregon scored on their opening drive since they faced off against the Beavers in the Civil War, man. It's been a long time since we've seen Oregon really set the tone, and their ability to do that, I think from the opening drive on, really establishes how they're going to play throughout the game. I was super concerned about the Ducks last week, Joe, lowering themselves down to Iowa's level in that win. If Oregon's going to be successful, especially in the Big Ten, it's going to be when they force lesser teams to bend their way. And we saw that blueprint today. It was so awesome. It's something we need to see going forward more often. I really hope that they get that established next week against USC. This was, once again, the first time since week 3, that we saw this. That's a problem, but thankfully it's back, and all kinds of other things in offense worked, Joe, and that was encouraging for me.
Yeah, and you want to talk about not only starting fast, but just continuing the pace throughout the game. Of the 7 drives that the starters were on the field, and it would be 8 if you want to include the one play drive before halftime. But the Oregon offensive starters, they scored a touchdown on 6 of their 7 drives tonight. So it was just a consistent offensive effort, led by, again, the rushing attack, but also Dante Moore and his efficiency tonight, 27 of 30. And this was on the broadcast. You might have seen it going around on the social medias, but 27 of 30, 90% completion percentage. That is an Oregon football record for completion percentage in a single game by a single player. So I think Oregon fans, coaches, everybody is happy, but I think as far as who might be the happiest Oregon Duck out there, it's probably Dante Moore, just to be like, I could throw the ball tonight and have no problems. Thank God. He was making up for the last 2 weeks and not being able to throw the ball and not being able to play as much, and he made up for a lot of incompletions and pass plays that they couldn't play and run over the last couple weeks tonight. Again, 27 of 30, just highly efficient ball from Dante Moore.
Well, yeah, coming in, he had not thrown a touchdown in almost or just over a month. But then by the end of the first quarter, he already had more than 100 yards passing. So, yeah, because of him, because of the offensive line, their offense was firing on all cylinders. And, man, just how smooth Dante Moore looked in just about every situation today. He just looked a lot better than he did in the last couple of weeks. I mean, I'm even wondering with tonight's performance if we raised his draft stock up, because those connections over the top to start the game on that first drive, it was really nice. It was kind of a tale of two sides of the offense. First drive, it was the run. First drive, it was the pass. Then second drive, the run was established, and you got to see Oregon working, like we say, firing on all cylinders really quickly. And yeah, that ball to Malik Benson to start the game, that other ball to Kenyon Sadiq to start the game in that first drive, they just looked perfect. And whether or not it was Dante Moore fooling the safeties with his eyes, or whether or not it was the cornerback that kind of got baited by like a route by one of the inside receivers, man, Oregon just was smooth all night. And this is the offense, Joe, that kind of made me earlier in the season wonder, how high is Oregon's ceiling? I saw that kind of play from Oregon tonight. It was exciting for me.
Well, again, we talked about it last week that this team will go as far as its defense takes it. But when you can get a dry, normal playing environment where both units are able to show themselves, and you get the performance out of Dante Moore and the running back room, the receivers as well. Also, Dante Moore, he was able to complete a ball to 9 different receivers. If you want to include that Cooper Perry minus 11-yard reception that led to the fumble. That was the only drive they did not score on the offensive starters, but technically a completion. So Dante Moore did have 27 completions to 9 different receivers today.
Can I get my one negative out of the way really quickly?
I would expect nothing less in the first segment, Jordan.
This really is. I'm not nitpicking tonight. There's so many good things that Oregon did, but Cooper Perry has now been responsible for 2 turnovers in the last 2 weeks.
Wow,
Dante Moore's
just picking on Cooper Perry.
Well, it's obvious. Go back to last.
What would happen?
Go back to last week. Brandon was here, and he saw me yelling very, very loudly and yelling a lot of swear words at that. But Cooper Perry last week against Iowa on that Dante Moore interception, Cooper had not even turned around to see where the ball was, right over his head, and just easily picked by that safety. It is the receiver's job at that point to try to find the ball, and if you know you're not going to catch it, to play freaking defensive back. I know he's a freshman. I know he's a young kid, but that was on him, not on Dante Moore. Then you go to this week, and what was it? Basically like a shovel pass to like a end around or some kind of trick play that they were going to run.
Yeah, just the timing got thrown off on that, and like you probably just need to, take your
just
take the L
Cooper.
and just like lay down on that one. Yeah, I'm also really glad I felt it coming, the Schultze freak out, so I reached to the volume knob just in time to turn it down so my earlobes aren't bleeding now.
That was very smart, but let me finish this up by saying that drive ended up dying because of Cooper Perry and Cooper Perry alone. It was a hook and ladder, and it just ended up tossing to the running back that was over his head or right behind him to a defender. Like you just said, Joe, you got to eat that. 2 mistakes in 2 weeks. That's the kind of stuff, especially in a program like Oregon, that's got to get you benched. It reminds me, Joe, last season when Oregon was struggling early on with offensive line injuries, Cameron Pickard was putting Oregon in situations where they were giving stuff up. Their offensive line was not playing to the standard. And
Charlie Pickard,
excuse me. Sorry about that. Yeah, Charlie Pickard. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Last year when their center was out, they had to put Pickard in at center. It did not go well for the first 3 games.
I'm just thinking of Charlie Pickard's parents driving back up right now. Like, what the hell?
Like, Schultze, you're not even naming our kid right.
Like,
and
they're like, bro.
And Pickard has improved. He was young. Cooper Perry's young. Keep him out until he improves. These mistakes cannot happen at a program like Oregon, but that really was the only downside I saw tonight. Everything else for me was a positive.
And after that play, I believe they were up either 14-0. It was 14-3 at that point, but you just don't like to see mistakes compound, which they did not after that. So I think that is the bright spot of a situation like that is that we saw this early on in the game against Rutgers. First drive of the game, fumble. Rutgers gets the ball right back in their and on their side of the field, on Oregon side of the field rather. And this is coming off of the Indiana loss. So that play happens against Rutgers, and you're like, oh boy, is this going to be one of those weird games where we play down to Rutgers? Sure enough, they give up that field goal, and then it was a rout the rest of the way. So after those mistakes, you just want to see a team respond. And then after that fumble, again, touchdown, one play before halftime, so whatever. Touchdown, starters were pulled. So they responded after their 1 turnover of the game. No turnovers forced by the defense, which I think as football fans, we're always hoping that we get at least one of those. But
kind of thought we'd see a pick tonight by Finney, or it just seemed like the defensive backs were on tonight. I was surprised.
Yeah, punt, field goal, punt. Their 1 touchdown coming right out of halftime where they made their adjustments, scripted up their second half drive. Punt, end of game for Minnesota as Oregon wins 42-13. We will get to your thoughts. You can text in to the Dick Hanna Dealers postgame scoreboard show at 503-864-6326. Again, that's 503-864-6326. We are also on the YouTube stream, and I see the YouTube stream chat. We will turn the lights on in the studio. The lights on the studio have to be literally at their brightest, or else it looks very, very dark on the stream.
I think it's cool that we keep the lights down, honestly.
It's late night vibes. Yeah, like we're in the back of a club. Yeah, I understand it. We will turn the lights on so that way you can see our beautiful faces, though. But let's take a quick break. We're going to effort in to get one Anthony Newman, who he was playing double duty tonight. Because while the Ducks game was going on, he was Coach Anthony Newman. He was making sure that his Westland Lions were led to victory as well. So we'll shoot him a text, make sure he's ready to go to jump on. Listen, Westland, they won comfortably. So I'm hoping that he was able to break the phone out and able to watch this game throughout it, because the Westland Lions, they got an easy dub against Jesuit.
How do you think his head coach would have felt about that? Like, is my D coordinator really watching the Ducks game?
Bad play happens.
This is happening.
That bad play happens on the field for their team, and he's just, yes, let's go. Like, oh, sorry. My bad. So we will get Anthony, we will get Dusty here in a bit. And again, listen or get your thoughts. There are the lights. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can really see us.
Hey, now we're looking good.
There we go. We will get to your thoughts, get to stats, recaps, highlights, everything in this game on the Dick Hanna Dealership post-game scoreboard show. But first, we will kick it over to Brandon with a traffic and weather update.
Here's your Ducks traffic report. Roads looking pretty clear around Autzen Stadium. Got a couple of cars pulled over on the shoulder on the I-5 near the I-105 connection. As for weather, 58 degrees in Portland. The Ducks postgame forecast calls for 58 degrees tomorrow with cloudy skies.
Time is ticking away. Don't let another minute pass.
Malik Benson got lost to the right down the right sideline in front of the Oregon bench, and then it was just a matter of can he make the catch before he goes out of bounds.
Yeah, the ball kind of thrown to the outside. Looked like it was going to almost be thrown out of bounds, but Benson catches that ball, gets his left foot in.
Dick Hanna Dealerships presents the Postgame Scoreboard Show on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1, 1080, and the Odyssey app.
Welcome back into the Dick Hanna Dealerships post-game scoreboard show as the Oregon Ducks, they improved to 9-1 with a 42-13 victory over the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And we've got the former Oregon Duck, Anthony Newman, on the line, former NFL pro, and as I should say, current coach Anthony Newman. Anthony, who looked better tonight, the Oregon Ducks or the Wesleyan Lions, baby?
Well, I think the Oregon Ducks looked better. We had a tougher opponent in Jesuit. Wow, these guys gave us some trouble, but 48 to 42 to 28. They scored it, towards the end of the game. But the first half was tied up 14-14.
Oh, okay.
They ran the ball on us a little bit. We had to make some halftime adjustments. I always talk about this. The best coaches out there are the guys who make halftime adjustments. And then next thing you know, now you stop the running game. You stop, from them getting first downs or converting third downs to first downs. We did a good job. It was a good win. Now we move on. And I was getting some information from the sideline as I was coaching on what the Duck game, what was going on with the Duck game. So it was great to hear the score. And I was like, okay, that's good. Then keep me posted, guy. So somebody was keeping me posted on the sideline.
You remind me of last week when I was at my son's soccer game, and I believe his game kicked off with like a couple minutes left to go in the second quarter. So I was pulling double duty myself, man. So I understand how it goes. You're cheering for things on the phone that are going bad on the field in front of you, and people are like, who's this guy cheering for right now?
Exactly right. I had to be kind of, incognito because I couldn't really so I'm looking at my phone. I'm trying to coach a game and a playoff game. Like, okay, but it was good to hear. Her Dante Moore was killing it. I mean, He's a dude. Talk about a guy who can put it together. And he's not playing with all these top receivers. He's playing with all the other guys who are stepping up, doing some good things for the Ducks. It was nice to see. The offensive line is just there's some dudes up front. And I love the running game. You know that. You love Jordan Davison. That dude's a dude, man.
Yeah, and just looking at the scores that you and Andy had in the pregame, you had this as a 48-10 victory for the Oregon Ducks. I mean, pretty damn close. So, I felt this way too. Like, this is kind of what I expected. Once we saw that the weather forecast was going to be in the favor for us for 1 week finally, again, this is pretty much what a lot of Oregon fans expected.
Well, and again, everybody talked about it was a short week, but it's home. You're playing it, in your home stadium, and that gives you a little boost. You love playing in front of your fans. And, there's a bunch of dudes on Oregon's football team. And Minnesota, no disrespect to them, but they don't have a lot. They really don't. And you saw that. I mean, it's hard for them to move the football. It's hard for them to throw the football. They got a freshman quarterback. They had a young freshman running back. Their offensive line wasn't that great. And it shows up, when you're playing 4 quarters of football. The better team won.
Anthony, tonight for Oregon, the story of the offense was really the tight end success. Kenyon Sadiq, almost 100 yards receiving. He caught a tutty. Jamari Johnson, the other tight end, was actually the second leading receiver with 4 catches for 57 yards, including a really nice 24-yard grab from Dante Moore. Those tight ends playing so well is so huge, especially coming into such a physical Big Ten conference. Anthony, explain how the defense struggles when tight ends like that become such a focal part of the offense, because if Oregon continues to do what they did today, I think nobody can stop them.
Well, I was talking in the pregame about Oregon's 13 personnel, which is 3 tight ends in the game and 1 receiver. Or if you have 12 personnel, well, you have 2 tight ends in the game and 2 receivers. Anytime you bring tight ends in the game, it's hard to match up with those big guys, because who do you use, a safety or do you use a linebacker? And then they're going to run the football because they're like extra linemen in the game to block, especially when you go 13 personnel, 3 tight ends in the game. They're running the football. But then you can spread these tight ends out. Sadiq is like a receiver, but yet he's playing tight end. Looks like Baby Hulk. The dude is ridiculous. He will block you, and then he'll run right past you. So who do you put on Sadiq? Do you put on – do you have cover someone like a linebacker, or is it a safety? Well, who is it? Because he's going to be outmatched. And then, they're going to block. They're going to create holes. They're going to, double team tackles and defensive tackles and linebackers. So it's so hard to defend an offense that has tight ends they get busy. They put in work. They're guys that, hey, how do we account for these guys? You can't.
Well, there was a pass that, and it just shows like how difficult it is to guard Kenyon Sadiq, is that he caught a pass over the middle. He was basically falling down to his knees, a defender draped all over him, and he caught it with one hand, and it was almost just like, I don't think he was supposed to catch that, but it almost looked so easy for him. Again, and when you see him, every play he makes, and when he stands up off the turf, you're just like, that dude is an athletic freak. It's amazing to watch. Like,
well, that's why the NFL is drooling over him right now.
Yeah,
they want him in the league right now.
Well, and then
I talked to some guys. They want him right now.
And then you see him put up a stat line like he did today. We've seen his blocking prowess throughout the season, and then he goes and shows you why he's so dynamic in the run game and then pass catching game. I do want to look ahead to next week though, because big matchup against USC, regardless if they win or not. Against Iowa, what is the biggest thing to you going up against this USC team that the Ducks are going to have to focus on?
Well, USC can score points. They have a good running game. They usually have the passing game where they're throwing the ball all over the place, but now they have a running game, and they also have a little bit of a defense that can play. They're not. Usually USC doesn't have a defense at all. Period. But they have some defensive guys who can make plays on that side of the ball. It's a great matchup. This is speed on speed. That's what you want to see. Sometimes we see, Iowa, it's power against speed. Well, against USC, it's speed on speed, and it's matchups against matchups on the edges. So this is going to be a fun game to watch. It really is.
Anthony, going into next week, man, the defensive backs tonight played so well. So I want to try to, I want to hit on this with you because this is obviously your area of expertise. Former NFL, former Duck defensive back. Can you talk about? And by the way, they are the top passing defense by numbers in college football right now. Talk about why they have so much success against a guy in Minnesota that really is able to throw the ball. They really did not allow him to do so tonight, and why you think they're going to be able to do so against a guy like Jaden Mayava next week, because I don't see a good quarterback for USC doing much against this defense if they play the same they did today.
Well, Oregon's defense is known for man-to-man. They're going to play man against you guys. They have the corners to play man. They have safeties to play man, and that's what you're going to see. So now it's going to, it's a corner against a receiver out on an island by himself, and then you're going to get some blitzes with linebackers coming after the quarterback. So there's not a lot of time to throw the football. But with Oregon's corners, they're doing a great job, of just keeping that window closed. And when I talk about window being closed, when the quarterback's dropping back and they're looking at the receiver, okay, there's a DB right next to the receiver. There's not a window open so you can throw the ball in between two defenders. There's a DB chasing the guy, and he's right on his hip. And that's hard to trust yourself as a quarterback to make that throw. So I won't throw it. Let me look at somebody else. By the time you look at somebody else, you're getting hit in the mouth by Tatum coming off the edge. So that's the problem with teams going against Oregon's defenses. They're playing man almost every. Well, every time I look at it, I swear they're playing man. It's not every snap, but it's a lot. And when you have corners that you can do that, just like we do at Westland, that's all we do is play man, then I'm going to do it all day long because I know that my guy can take that guy out. I don't have to worry about him. I don't have to worry about that side of the field. And that's what Oregon's doing so well, and more so with a freshman. Come on, this kid's a true freshman? Are you kidding me? I mean, it doesn't seem real. He's not only just a freshman All-American, he is an All-American with the best of them.
Yeah, he's been impressive as hell this whole season. Well, we'll let you go. You've got 2 game tapes to watch now because you got to go back and watch this game. You got to break down film and get ready for next week. You're going to be a busy man on the clicker over the next couple days.
I love it. It's football. That's what I do. It's fun.
Right. Well, hey, you won't have your attention diverted next week because the Ducks taking on USC. And if you want to have a weekend where you can watch the full game, this is going to be the next one next week against USC. Anthony, we'll catch you next week on the postgame show. Appreciate your time tonight, man.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Anthony Newman.
Thanks, brother.
Former Oregon Duck, NFL pro, and current Westland coach as I get a big dub. I played for Westland Youth Football 1 year.
Did you really?
I was a free agent. My dad forgot to sign me up for Tualatin football. And so they're like, well, he can't play. And Westland was like, we'll take him. We'll take him.
Hell yeah. You Westland stud you.
There's a little bit of me. Go Lions. Just a small part of me. We ran the table that year too. Got a championship medal in a box somewhere.
I'm gonna go find the old Joe Fisher box scores.
No, dude, I had to play on the 7th, 8th grade team as an 8th grader. And I literally had to play tackle sometimes.
See,
you see
you're
me
not big enough to play that.
No.
Offensive or defensive?
Oh, offensive. I was right tackle, baby. I was the Alex Harkey of Westland 7th, 8th grade football.
Was there a lightweight and heavyweight division?
It was, I believe it was the weight cutoff in the 7th, 8th grade league was 140. And then in 8th grade, it's 170. And I was always on that 138, 139. There was a couple games I had to have the blue tape on my helmet. Couldn't run the ball.
I think ours was 130 for 8th grade.
My dad would have me running the mornings of games, putting on sweatshirts and sweatpants to shed a couple pounds. So that way, just in case I got the call to run the ball, I'd be good to go. No blue tape for me, baby.
You're like a wrestler making weight.
It was
wacky.
It literally was sometimes, some weekends. All right, let's take a quick break. Told Dusty Hare we'll be coming to him in a bit. Let's take a break. Let's read some stats, box score stuff, and then we'll get to Dusty here on the Dick Haney Dealership postgame scoreboard show. But some of you are driving up. You want to know what the weather and the traffic's looking like, and Brandon's got it for you.
Here's your Ducks traffic report. Around the stadium, got a couple cars pulled over on the shoulder on the I-5 near the 105 connection. Also got several police cars out on the I-5 near Coburg. As for weather, 58 degrees in Portland. The Ducks post-game forecast calls for 58 degrees tomorrow with cloudy skies.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows
but that's one heck of a catch. Holy cow, did he stretch out. I thought he had no chance.
I thought it was overthrown. And he laid out, and he's got sticky hands. He's made a few of those catches today. That one was spectacular.
Dick Hanna Dealerships presents the Postgame Scoreboard Show on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1, 1080, and the Odyssey app.
Welcome back into the Dick Hanna Dealerships post-game scoreboard show here on 105.1 The Fan, 1080 The Fan. We are also on the Odyssey app and YouTube. You can share your thoughts on the text line, 503-864-6326, or on the YouTube chat as well. But first, let's go over some stats, Jordan, shall we?
Stats for your ass.
I love me some stats.
Tonight, they were very good for Oregon.
I like stats.
A lot of quarterback success. Brock Thomas even came in, went 3 of 3. Kind of nuts.
The dude's perfect the last 2 appearances. He's 7 for 7 over his last 2 appearances. The guy is just, Dante Moore, he had a couple incompletions. Brock Thomas didn't.
Hey, I think there's a reason Will Stein likes him.
Right. Dante Moore, pretty good stat line, though, I'd say.
Damn. I would say, I don't know what the latest Heisman betting lines look like, but
I'll take a gander.
I think he was off the board after, once again, I mentioned it in the first segment, not throwing a touchdown for a month. But maybe a performance like this would vault him not to the top, but at least back into the conversation.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like he wanted to make up for the last couple of weeks because of not being able to throw the ball because of the conditions. He goes 27 of 30 for 306 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and that 27 for 30 is good for a 90% completion rate. A Oregon Ducks all-time record for completion rate in a single game with a minimum of 20 pass attempts.
Do you know who he beat?
I don't know. Take your pick. Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, Dylan Gabriel. I feel like there's been a lot of guys over the last couple of years that probably could have. Marcus Mariota, maybe, the guy who won the Heisman.
I believe it was one Kellen Clemens, actually.
How about that?
Yeah.
Even better.
Way back.
Again, take your pick. Norm Van Brocklin, perhaps?
Probably not.
No.
All the way back? No. They just came up with a forward pass back then.
I was going to say, I don't know if they threw the ball 20 times a game back then. So, as far as the rushing attack tonight, Noah Whittington, 8 carries, 72 yards, and a touchdown, including a 40-yard touchdown run where he got hit once, he got hit twice, he got hit 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times all at once, and somehow stayed on his feet, rumbled all the way to the 2-yard line before fumbling the ball, regaining possession of it for a split second and then fumbling it again. It got reviewed. It was one of those scary moments of like, oh my God, did he fumble this right before the goal line? Well, technically he did, but got the ball right back for
barely.
Yeah, just long enough for them to be like, yeah, okay, it's a touchdown.
Yeah,
fine, we'll give it to him.
He did get the step in the end zone with it before he kind of tossed it to the side.
Yeah. His eyes, though, you could see it on the replay.
Like,
those were the
cartoon
OS eyes
Cartoon
right there.
eyes,
Yeah. Jordan Davison, 7 carries for 57 yards and 2 touchdowns. That brings his season total to 12 for the true freshman, and we'll get to more of him in the postgame show because I do want to spend some time talking about him.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Hill, 6 for 22, no touchdowns, but Jay Harris got in there with some action, 4 carries for 19 yards and a touchdown. Dante Moore, he added 4 carries for 6, and Brock Thomas 1 for 3. On the receiving side, Kenyon Sadiq, 8 catches, 96 yards, both career highs for him, which he set earlier this season, and I forget what game that was in. I don't know if that was in the Indiana game or maybe the Penn State game. I'd have to go back and look, but he set career highs in both of those categories earlier this year. He does it again with tonight's performance. And as you mentioned to Anthony in the previous segment, Jamari Johnson, 4 catches for 57 yards for him. So both the tight ends showing out today. You also had Jeremiah McClellan, 3 for 36 and 1 touchdown, which after looking at still photos, I think that toesy was down.
That toesy and the ankle was not down. So the toesy was down, ankle was above the ground. What a crazy finish.
On the broadcast, I was like, I think they just gave Oregon a break, but
glad they called it a touchdown.
They have broken down the Zapruder film, and there are photos you can see. I have it right on my screen. He has barely that foot right above that out bounds line. I think that was a clean touchdown.
Yeah, the big toe popped out of the cleat and touched the grass right before it went out.
One little piggy. That's all you need.
That's
all you need.
And good for McClellan. He's a freshman, mind you. So.
Freshman.
Kid.
Hill, 3 catches for 22. Malik Benson, 2 for 51. Roger Saliapaga, 2 for 25. Justice Moses Lowe, 2 for 22. Jordan Davison, 2 for 19. Noah Whittington, 2 for 10. And Cooper Perry, 2 for -7.
I do love that the running backs like De'Aaron Hill, like Davison, were out getting some of those balls thrown to them as well. They've got so many freaking running backs, it makes sense that you throw some of them in at the slot as well. I love when you've just got athletes to mess with. This is a best case scenario for Oregon, and I think we saw the results leading to another almost 30-point win for them. Yeah, this is offense at the top level for Oregon right now.
Not just a almost 30-point win. That's a cover, baby.
That is a huge cover.
Good
And
teams win. Great teams cover.
Oregon almost hit the total. It was 43.5.
Oh,
and
by
over
themselves?
under. Yeah, Oregon almost hit it by themselves with 42.
On the defensive side, Bryce Betcher, 6 total tackles, 3 of those solo. Jaden Kennedy, who he's becoming like one of my favorite players. He's been getting a good enough run this year. He's got some feistiness to him. He's full of piss and vinegar out there. I love it.
Yeah.
5 total, 2 solo. Ife Obadegwu, he had 1 solo, 4 tackles. You also had Brandon Finney, 3 solo tackles, 1 sack for the freshman DB. Tatum Tuioti, he had 2 solo tackles and a sack. No turnovers, plenty of tackles for loss, but yeah, no interceptions or forced fumbles in this one today. Impressive game by both offensive and defense. We'll get to some of the team stats later in this one as well, but we will take a quick break. We will get some traffic and weather. We will get Dusty Hara on the horn as well, get his thoughts as he was down there on the sideline during the broadcast for this one. We will do that next here on the Dick Hanna Dealership Postgame Scoreboard Show. But first, Brendan, give me some traffic and weather, baby.
You got it. Here's their Ducks traffic report. Around the stadium, got a couple cars pulled over on the shoulder on the I-5 South near the I-05 connection. Also got a couple police cars chilling around Coburg, so watch yourself as you're heading back up towards Portland. As for weather, 58 degrees in Portland. The Ducks postgame forecast calls for 58 degrees tomorrow with cloudy skies.
Dick Hanna Dealerships presents the Post-Game Scoreboard Show on the Fan Sports Network. Dick Hanna, believe in nice.
This time giving it to Davison up the middle, and there he goes. Cut it inside. 20, all the way to the 15 to the 10. Touchdown! Jordan Davison! Big hole up the middle. Get out of my way. I know where I'm going, and you can't stop me. Touchdown, Oregon. 40 yards on the run.
Time for the second half. Oregon Ducks football on the Fan is brought to you by Coors Light, Dick Hanna Dealerships, Philbrook Law, Zoom Care, Bellagio's Pizza, Langdon Farms Golf Club, Wilsonville Toyota, Mountaintop Metal Roofing, Victor Rico's Mexican Food, Legends Casino Hotel, Mods PDX, and Laurelhurst Market Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. The Dick Hanna Dealerships Post-Game Scoreboard Show on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1, 1080, and the Odyssey app. Drives on. Here's your hosts, Joe Fisher and Jordan Schultz.
And we're right back into the Dick Hanna Dealerships post-game scoreboard show. On the phone, we got the man, the brand man himself, Dusty Hara, sideline reporter for the Oregon Ducks. Dusty, I feel like you in the rain, you were starting to become one. It was starting to become your element. You were just as you were getting used to it. We get dry conditions and a perfect weather day down at Autzen. What the hell?
I know. It felt like a late September, early October day.
Yeah.
In Eugene.
Yeah, Schultz said that. Yeah.
It was like 65 degrees this afternoon, and so I got a little spoiled. And boy, what happened to Oregon's offense? Yes, the weather happened to Oregon's offense, and I think everybody saw when the conditions are favorable, this offense can be just as explosive as it was early in the year, man. It was a complete performance all the way around.
Yeah, Dusty, talk about the whole Friday night atmosphere. With tonight's win, the Ducks moved to, I believe it's 9-0 all-time in Friday night games, 3 of those under Dan Lanning. What is it like on a Friday night compared to a Saturday? I mean, it took the crowd, you could see maybe a bit longer to get to their seats on the TV broadcast, but by the middle of the first quarter, it felt, I don't know, to me it felt a little more special than a Saturday game. I just need to know from down on the sidelines how it felt to you.
I mean, it was raucous, that's for sure. You're right. It was a little bit more late arriving crowd. The student section especially. But yeah, I was really surprised with the amount of people that, just took the day off, took their kids out of school, and were tailgating beforehand too, because it's usually really low key on those Friday games because, people have to work, man. Like, the jobs don't stop. But a lot of people took the time to make sure they were down in Austin Stadium and in the tailgate lots beforehand. The environment was electric, and they were it was almost as if they were feeding off the fact that, what we've all seen and what we've all been talking about on the fan all week long, which is it doesn't seem like the national pundits are buying what Oregon is doing. And it was a prove-it game, you could tell, for the Ducks on the field, but also in the crowd. They were live, man. They were loud, and it was a fun environment for being a Friday night game, which can be a little awkward at times.
This kind of is a two-parter based off of some of the personnel changes that we saw out there. It looked like that they were lining up Sadiq and Jamari Johnson a little bit more in those wide receiver out wide spots. Was that just part of like something that they wanted to do maybe even last week with Jamari, just to help alleviate some of the losses that they had in the wide receiver room? And then also they switched on the offensive line, Iuli over to left guard, and they put Pregnon over to right guard. Was that more so like, hey, let's give Harkey some help just because he's a little bit banged up? What was kind of the motive behind those decisions and those moves by the offense today?
Yeah, I'll start with the offensive line one, because mixing up offensive line rotations is something that, this Ducks team does quite often. And in practice and throughout camp, I mean, we hear about how they don't do first and second string, whether it's spring ball or in fall camp. They do green and yellow. And one day you'll have, a true freshman lined up right next to you. The next day you'll have a senior, right? And that's kind of like how they practice throughout the course of fall camp and spring ball. So guys are accustomed to being in different spots and playing with different guys alongside them. And it's something that they were toying with. I don't know if it was to give Harkey more protection or to give Iuli more protection with having Isaiah World next to him. I mean, it could be either one of those situations, because I think if we see kind of that play where Iuli stepped on Dante Moore against Iowa, where Roger Saliapaga was wide open on the pop pass, that was because Iuli was kind of on his heels, right? And you're not going to be able to do that next to Isaiah World, where you go Isaiah World, Poncho, and then right in between Iuli. So it could be protection for Harkey with Pregnon there, who's one of the best guards in college football, or it could be protection for Iuli, just kind of having a little bit more balance with strength on both sides of the offensive line. As for the tight ends and kind of the personnel groupings that they've been running with, I think by necessity last week we saw a lot of 13 personnel or 22 personnel, depending on where they had Zach Grace, right? Because we saw a lot of Jamari Johnson, Roger Saliapaga, and Zach Grace against Iowa, where they would line him up at the fullback, they'd line him up in a wing, kind of as a extension of the offensive line and tight end grouping. And tonight you saw more 12 and 13 personnel, because they also had Jamari Johnson, Kenyon Sadiq, and Roger Saliapaga all on the field together at times. And what that does is it forces the defense to bring in a bigger defensive personnel group. Well, you line up with those guys, tight end and a wing, and then you shift them out. All of a sudden now, because Jamari Johnson and Kenyon Sadiq are such good athletes and route runners, you've created a mismatch in the passing game with splitting those guys out, because they have to respect the fact that you're bringing more tight ends in to potentially run the football. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, those guys aren't as good covering in space. Now, Minnesota did adjust those personnel groupings as the game went on and said, wait a minute, we can't just do this wholesale substitution. But early in the game, especially, it did work for Oregon. And you saw it, and that's just kind of Will Stein manipulating the moves that the defense has to do. And when you have guys like Jamari Johnson and Kenyon Sadiq, you really can have the full playbook open, because they're really good in the run game, and especially in the receiving game with Jamari Johnson and Kenyon Sadiq. those guys can get open against linebackers.
Yeah, it's a good wrinkle that you mentioned, like having them basically line up in tight and then having them split out, and then you've got bigger linebackers, bigger guys on defense having to go play essentially a secondary position. Puts them in a tough spot.
No doubt about it. I mean, and that is kind of, Will Stein does a really good job of keeping it simple, but making it look more complex than it is, right? And so they're running all the same passing concepts that they run with 4 receivers on the field, and they're getting all to the same spots. But when you mix up the personnel groupings, it really puts a lot of strain on the defense as to how they're going to adjust to it.
Yeah, Dante Moore had 100 yards passing before the end of the first quarter was over, Dusty. It was just a huge change from last couple of weeks to now. I mean, is that the biggest difference, what you were just talking about, from seeing it last Saturday to this Friday? Or was it simply that he had more healthy weapons to play with? I mean, the offensive line, obviously successful. I got to hit on what you just said. I mean, God, on that Jordan Davison 39-yard touchdown run, Pregnon and Iuli, they stunted over to the left, and Pregnon didn't even have anybody to block. Davison was already through the hole, and Pregnon was just basically kind of screening nobody. The Ducks had the Gophers' super talented running defense beat very badly the whole game, and I feel like part of that was Dante Moore. So what led to his success today, and what led to the best game that we've seen from him in over a month?
Well, I think that the conditions played a huge role in that, and then it was balanced, because that opening drive, you saw Oregon did struggle running the football, because over the last month when the weather gets bad, you know, and you got sideways rain and downpours and it's cold, Oregon had to impose their will with the run game, and the matchups dictated that was going to be advantageous for Oregon. Early in this game, Minnesota did a really good job of loading up against the run, and Oregon went very quickly from running to throw to throwing to run. And by doing that, and look, the gravity that Kenyon Sadiq has cannot be understated, because when 18 is on the field, he's a matchup nightmare, because a linebacker can't guard him in coverage. A nickel corner is too small to defend him. So what defenses are forced to do is have a linebacker and a safety pay attention to him at all times. And so when you have a guy like that, Oregon really went to the middle of the field, because 2 guys in the middle of the field with a linebacker and a safety are having to pay attention to where Kenyon Sadiq is at. So we saw early crossing route Jeremiah McClellan, crossing route Jamari Johnson, because the middle of the field is open. It simplifies the read and creates way more space for Dante Moore to operate in. But then you also have, like, he was just confident in throwing the ball downfield and pushing it downfield. First completion of the game was to Malik Benson on just a go route, and he said, my guy's going to beat your guy, and he trusted that. And, you know, Dante is a very talented passer, and I think one thing that we've seen over the last month is he's just he's doing what is being asked of him, which is just do enough to win football games. Because at that point in the year, winning is really hard, and guys are dinged up. Defenses have a book on what you try to do successfully, and so they try to take that away. And so there is always, at any point in the football season, there is a stretch where it is, we just got to survive and we got to win. And because once you figure that out, then everything opens back up later in the year. And I think that's what we saw today, was the elements played a factor, and they allowed Oregon to get more vertical and to throw the ball a little bit more effectively. But also having you get a little bit more healthy and the pivot back to, all right, we can, after 4 games, because that's what teams look at, your last 4 games, right? And that's the max that they'll look at. All right, we pivoted enough over the last 4 games to go back to some of the stuff we did earlier in the year.
Yeah, it's almost as if my computer is listening to me, Dusty, because I'm going through my Twitter timeline here, and I get a clip of a highlight of the Ducks shifting out of a 14 personnel to get Sadiq isolated on a linebacker for his touchdown that he scored. And it perfectly illustrates what they were doing to this Minnesota defense all night long. We will let you go, my man. Get home safely. Got a big one next week, and we will talk to you on Monday.
All right. Thank you, fellas. It is a big one. We'll see how USC handles a little bit of rain down in L.A. with Iowa coming in, and we'll see if they can throw the ball as effectively as they have all season long. And, there is one more thing. Norm Van Brocklin, he holds the NFL single-game passing record. 1951, he threw the ball for 554 yards in a game.
You know,
the Flying Dutchman could sling it, fellas.
And I know,
all right.
Honestly, that doesn't surprise me. Like, I feel like there's been a few games where I've tried to set that record in Madden, and then I don't get it. And I'm like, who the hell has the record for it? I'm like, oh, my God, it's Norm Van Brocklin. So you're right. Yeah. I should give him more credit.
And that also started a streak that is still intact. And Oregon has this record by like 20 years. The Oregon Ducks have had a alum attempt to pass every year since 1951, since Norm Van Brocklin. And with the plethora of quarterbacks in the league right now, with Herbert, Nix, both being young, Dylan Gabriel young, and then Dante Moore eventually, that streak looks like it's going to be intact for quite some time.
Hashtag Products, baby.
Yeah, we need to hear that stat on every national media show all the time. Are you serious? That's awesome.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Well, again, appreciate you, man. Get home safely, and we will catch you on Monday and next week in the postgame show.
All right, fellas, have a good one.
That is Dusty Hara, sideline reporter for the Ducks. Obviously, the fan, brand, and manager here at 105.1 and 1080 The Fan. Sharing some good insights there of what he saw during the game on the sideline. It's always interesting to get that perspective because of what we're seeing at home on the screen and what he's seeing on the sideline and or hearing on the sideline as well.
Big one for the sidelines tonight with all those toe-touching catches.
It was in. He got one little piggy. That's all he needed, and he got it. Jeremiah McClellan. We will take a quick break. We will get back to a certain player on the team that I want to just spend some time on because what I've been seeing from him over the last couple weeks, very eye-opening. We will get to that next here on the Dick Hannon Dealership Postgame Scoreboard Show. But first, Brandon with a traffic and weather update.
Here's your Ducks traffic report. Around the stadium, got a couple of cars pulled over on the shoulder, one on the I-5 South near the I-105 connection, and another on the I-105 East. Also got several police cars spotted on the I-5 North near Coburg and south of Salem. As for weather, 57 degrees in Portland. The Ducks post-game forecast calls for 58 and cloudy tomorrow. Next Saturday against USC, expect 55 and rain.
Hey, it's Dusty. My family and I love Victoricos. The food is made
And this could be a pass. Back to throw. Look at the swing at right. It is caught. Sadiq way up the ladder. Get it out of the air. Bring it down with a toe tap. Touchdown, Oregon. Kenyon Sadiq.
Dick Hanna Dealerships presents the Postgame Scoreboard Show on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1, 1080, and the Odyssey app.
What a game. What a game, sir.
Yes. What, this one or the Louisville-Clemson one?
Both, honestly. I would say that this was actually one of the best nights for college football on a Friday as far as, like, the gameplay goes.
I'll take this game. I'll take this Ducks game over what I saw in the Louisville-Clemson game.
I just wonder how long Dabo's going to last. We can talk about that when we go over all the scores around the rest of the world of sports, but...
just one win. They got to take on the mighty Furman Paladins, I believe. Furman Paladins next week, and they get the dub. They're bowl eligible.
Furman as a football team. I want to know. I need to go look up who the quarterback for Furman University is.
Feisty Furman.
Where do you play? I play for Furman.
Hey, that's a D1 athlete right there, baby.
You got a tractor, too, to drive to the stadium?
We'll get into that one and also preview action for this upcoming Saturday. But I did want to get into something here, Jordan, just because, obviously there's a lot of great players on this Oregon football team. We talk about Dante Moore ad nauseum when the weather allows us to talk about him, and he has a good stat line, but we know how great he is. Noah Whittington, he's been on the squad for a very long time. Kenyon Sadiq, we wax poetic about him, but what I've been seeing from Jordan Davison over the last few weeks, man, he has had some runs, some plays. He had some runs tonight where he just shows his speed, his agility, the way that he's able to just put his foot in the ground and change directions. To start the year, he had the 8 touchdowns right away at the goal line, those short yardage situations, and we thought, okay, that's what he's going to be. He's going to be a bruiser, right? Just get us those short yardage situations. If we're at the goal line, get the touchdown. He has had some runs these last few weeks, man, where I am so excited to see what he looks like in the years to come. Hopefully we get a senior year out of him, but the way that he's been looking the last couple of years, we'll get a sophomore, we'll get a junior year out of him, at least, obviously. But the way that he has just shown his agility, his speed, and his quickness is something been very eye-opening for me that, again, just has me very excited for his future in this program. And again, you pair that with De'Aaron Hill and the speed that he has, whether it's going east-west, north-south. Having that too almost be like a thunder and lightning but again, like if Jordan Davison is the thunder, he can be a lightning at any time too. I just wanted to spend time on him because I just been extremely impressed by what I've seen out of him in the last couple of weeks, just outside of that short yardage situation. He's got speed. He's got quickness. He's got great vision, and he's becoming easily one of my favorite players on this team from what I've been seeing out of him.
And he's only a freshman. 12 touchdowns now for him. I believe he is part of the major reason that Oregon leads all of college football in freshman touchdowns scored. At the beginning of the season, you mentioned the short yard scenarios. We thought he was going to be like a touchdown Habibi Likio, right? Touchdown Davison, short yardage situation. Now, we've seen everything that you just said, Joe. It's a possibly better Royce Freeman. It's possibly a better LeGarrette Blount that Oregon has now in Jordan Davison. And the combo of guys that you have this year with Whittington and Jordan Davison, these might be the best running backs since Kenyon Barner and LaMichael James at Oregon. And that is saying something, my friend. And Davison, to round it all out, once again, a freshman. It's just unbelievable. I got to keep reminding people of that.
Two stats on him. This is just through last week, so obviously we have not finished this week of football, so time will tell what he's looking like in the PFF rankings. But through week 11, he is the second highest rated running back in PFF in college football. Not freshmen, not Big Ten running backs. Top graded PFF running backs through week 11. And then again, what he did this week, he finishes with, let me get it here, 7 carries for 57 yards, 8.1 a clip, and 2 touchdowns. Something tells me that PFF grade's going to go up. Also, he becomes the 9th Big Ten football freshman to rush for 12-plus touchdowns in the last 30 years. I had the list up of those other 8 football players, and there's some good ones on that list.
Decent names, you say?
There's some recognizable names on that one. So it just goes to show that what he's doing this year as far as putting the ball in the end zone, But again, he's been putting it on full display over the last couple weeks, and it's got me very, very excited, obviously, for the rest of the season. And it looks like you kind of got your three-headed monster at running back now between him, Noah Whittington, and De'Aaron Hill Jr. It's a very scary unit to go up against for opposing teams.
Simply put, to finish it up, Joe, defenses can't do much against a guy that's averaging almost 70 yards a carry.
Yeah, it's insane. Absolutely insane. He had a great game today. Was it enough to be the Mountaintop Metal Roofing Player of the Game, though? I know all the Ducks players are sitting in the locker room, huddled around a speaker, just waiting. They're like, Joe, just get to it, please. We want to go home, but we have to stay for the Mountaintop Metal Roofing Player of the Game. We can't go anywhere until you tell us. And we will get to that next here on the Dick Hanna Dealers Postgame Scoreboard Show. But first, Brennan, weather and traffic.
Here's your Ducks traffic report. Roads are looking clear now around the stadium. Still got a couple cars parked over as you're heading on the I-5 north around Salem, so keep an eye out for those. As for weather, 57 degrees in Portland. The Ducks postgame forecast calls for 58 and cloudy tomorrow. Next Saturday against USC, expect 55 and rain.
At Dick Hanna, we know that buying a car can feel like you're in some overdramatic reality show. There's a twist you don't see coming.
Where the heck is the car?
This is the Dick Hanna Post-Game Scoreboard Show on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1, 1080, and the Odyssey app. Time now for the Mountaintop Metal Roofing Player of the Game.
And the snap, give it to Whittington up the middle. Busts through for a quick 3 more. 5, 10, 11, 12. But on his feet, he's going to score. Whittington comes out of a pile and scores.
Do it once, do it right. Mountaintop Metal Roofing.
Noah Whittington is your Mountaintop Metal Roofing Player of the Game, mostly because of that just insane run that he had. That was a 40-yard touchdown run that, as I said earlier in the show, he broke 1 tackle and then 2 tackles and then 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. And basically everybody on the Minnesota sideline all tried to join in on the tackle. And he broke out of that a little bit thanks to Emmanuel Pregnon, but the big hog molly's coming down, keeping him upright, and he broke the tackle, broke another one, broke them all, rumbled all the way to the touchdown, almost fumbled. Well, he did fumble, technically.
Yeah, technically he did.
He technically did fumble, but regained possession to score that touchdown. I mean, that's beast mode status right there. That's going to go down as one of the best runs of the year for sure.
Usually the pile gets blown dead. Like the whistle ends the play on those kinds of stops. Like I'm trying to remember. I mean, I don't think it was more than like 3 or 4 seconds, but the way that Whittington fought out of that, it felt like forever. But then just personally going back to like the Fiesta Bowl when Maurice Morris sat on a Colorado Buffalo and then spun his way on his back around and then kept on his feet to the end zone.
That's one of my earliest Oregon Duck football memories was that play.
I would say that since then, this is the best run in Oregon program history. That was a crazy play by Whittington.
Little 8-year-old Joe. Can he do that?
Oh, he can. That was awesome.
It was like Bo Jackson and Tecmo Bowl. Like, he just couldn't tackle the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cheat code, you're right.
It's crazy.
Well, and I will say that, Jordan, I was debating you a little bit before the show, but I understand for production reasons. It's a little bit easier to put Noah in as the player of the game. Because Dante Moore, dude, 27 of 30, 306, 2 touchdowns.
Did
90% completion rate.
Did I know that he was going to set a completion percentage record for an Oregon team? No, I did not. I knew he was having a good game, but we've seen Dante Moore throw touchdowns before. We've seen him have good games. The play that Noah Whittington had
feels
on that
like
run,
it's been a while since we've seen him have a good game, quite frankly.
You are right. It has been about a month or so. But that play from Noah Whittington, man, I just think that sometimes during a game, there are players that single-handedly change the script and change the way things go or carry a team. And that was just such a defining moment of tonight's game that I had to give it to Noah Whittington.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I feel like, and it's a tough job you're in. Because you could give this to 3-4 different guys every single game.
Yeah,
like,
Davison, Dante. Davison had 2 touchdowns. What about him?
Again,
Sadiq.
Kenyon Sadiq, 8 for 96. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even the toe catch by Malik Benson, you could have thrown him in there as well.
Jeremiah McClellan.
Oh, no, well, there was one by Benson on the sideline, too. It was like a 30 or 40-yard ball. Yeah.
I got you. Yes.
Of course, McClellan's, yes, there we go. The toe touchdown for McClellan,
yeah,
too.
But, I mean, the offensive line, as I say, it's like you could give him, give that unit the player of the game, unit of the game, damn near every game at this point.
You could.
But yes.
Minus Indiana, yes, you can.
Right. But yeah, Noah Whittington, another great game for him. And really, since he has came back from injury, he has shown a different kind of gear into his game as well. I know I talked about Jordan Davison in that last segment. And also, I found the stat on Jordan Davison, 9th Big Ten football freshman to rush for 12-plus touchdowns in the last 30 years. He's on the list along with guys like, Nicholas Singleton of Penn State, Braylon Allen of Wisconsin a couple years ago, Jonathan Taylor. He's a pretty good running back from what I understand in the NFL. I think he's been doing okay.
MVP.
Yeah, possibly. Travion Henderson, Maurice Claret. Those are some good names to be in the company of if you're Jordan Davison. But Noah Whittington, your Mountaintop Metal Roofing Player of the Game. We will take a quick break. We'll go over some of the team stats overall and what we saw from the Oregon Ducks and from Minnesota in the 42-13 victory from the Ducks over the Golden Gophers. Do that next year on the Dick Handy Dealership Postgame Scoreboard Show. But first, Brandon with another traffic and weather update.
Here's your Ducks traffic report. Roads are looking clear now around the stadium. Still got a couple police cars on that I-5 North for those heading back to Portland. C1 over by Coburg and another just around Salem. As for weather, 57 degrees in Portland. The Ducks post-game forecast calls for 58 and cloudy tomorrow. Next Saturday against USC, expect 55 and rain.
If you're considering new construction and want it done right and fast by a team that's focused on innovation,
Postgame scoreboard show on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1, 1080, and the Odyssey app.
Welcome back into the Dick Kennedy Dealerships post-game scoreboard show. Ducks win 42-13 over Minnesota.
Touchdown by a toe, baby.
Yes, I will say, just to put my yellow and green colored glasses off, definitely seemed like the refs tonight were like, any decisive maybe call that we have to go under the hood for, let's just give it to Oregon because we kind of screwed them over last week.
Yeah, was this kind of referees in the Big Ten getting
Look.
right for Oregon? Because there were a couple of calls that were questionable.
Like there was a couple of, like, first downs, and then the Noah Whittington thing where it was like, maybe you call that a fumble, maybe you don't, and then the Jeremiah McClellan where I'm like, okay, Oregon is getting all the calls today, which. Listen, I'll take it after what happened last week.
I mean, that toe was that's a hard play to judge, I think.
And if you call it a touchdown, it's hard to reverse it and say, he is out of bounds.
Exactly, and that was the key.
The call decided that play.
It did, and the referee, I think, waited about a second after McClellan went down and then signaled live and in real time a touchdown. So yeah, that was probably the indicator there.
Take a look at some of the team stats for the Ducks and Golden Gophers. Total yards, Oregon 510 to Minnesota's 200. Damn it. Almost held them under 200.
I don't know how often Oregon has more passing than rushing yards. That was a big stat today, 331 to 179. I just don't feel like that happens very often in Oregon program history.
Bums.
No,
That's a bad trend. Bad trend.
I want to see more of these 300-plus yard passing performances.
After the last couple of weeks, I will take that.
Yeah,
I will take it. But yeah, 179 rushing yards for Oregon, 331 passing yards. Minnesota, 62 rushing yards on 24 rushing attempts for an average of 2.6. That number one rushing defense in the country. The numbers are going to look even better after this week. Again, 331 passing yards to 138. Number one passing defense in the country. I wouldn't be surprised that, depending on how the games shake out this week, if the total yardage, total defense for this Ducks team ends up being number one. I would have to take a look at the go to teamrankings.com, one of my favorite websites, to just see where they rank and all that. But average yards per play, 8.1. I think that it was at one point in the game they were averaging a first down
Yes, they were.
on first down.
I think that was like before Brock Thomas came in.
Yeah.
And the offense just didn't really do much.
Last couple of drives, yeah. But before that, they were literally averaging 10.1 yards per play on first down. So
They had
literally just, okay, so first down, first down, first down, first down, first down.
They had no fourth down
pretty
conversions tonight, which means they didn't have to go for it on fourth down. I love
nice.
seeing that too.
Yeah, I would say if there's one thing that I would like to see Oregon do a little bit better on defensively is against third down. I believe that Minnesota was 7 for 14.
7 to 16.
7 to 16. Okay, so it got worse. At one point they had a pretty good clip going on. So Oregon was able to keep them a little bit more in check as the game went on.
I think
third down.
4 of those came on that 80-yard touchdown drive.
It felt like it, yeah.
Because that was a 20-yard. Yeah, they
had a couple.
Yeah, the 80-yard total drive. So that was definitely at least 2 or 3.
Yeah, Minnesota, those poor guys. Darius Taylor, their redshirt freshman running back, he came back after missing a few weeks, and it was basically just like, all right, now that we have him, let's try and get him as many touches as possible, and hopefully he can somehow keep us in this game. And he did his damnedest, and he got his touches in both the running game and screen game, passing game, and he was basically the only player for Minnesota that was able to do anything for them, it seemed like.
I might be a child of the 90s, but every time I heard the announcers, because they said his name a lot in the first half, say Ejiboy. I think it was Fame or Fame Ejiboy. I don't know if I'm saying his first name correctly, and I apologize.
I hope it's Fame.
Yeah, right? Well, it's spelled F-A-M-E. Like, Fame would be a great first name if you're a football player, but his name, Ejiboy, it made me think of that old, I think it's late 90s, early 2000s phone long distance or whatever commercial where you're trying to call your family member collect, but you don't want the charge to go through, so you say, "We oughta baby eats a boy." Remember that old commercial? Like that, eats a boy was like, "What are we?" Okay, all right, cool.
Oh yeah, I had a baby. It's a boy.
Yeah, it's Bob. We had a baby. It's a boy. So every time I heard that name tonight, I was just going back to that commercial. So a little misnomer, but I thought that was very funny.
Eats a boy. He finished with 2 catches for 10 yards. That Darius Taylor guy, though, he had the most rushing yards for Minnesota, 10 for 57, 5.7 yards a clip, so he was effective there. He was also their leading receiver at 4 catches for 40 yards. So,
ran the Wildcat a lot.
He literally had to do everything just about for this Minnesota offense. As far as some other team stats that stand out for me, just kind of taking a peek, looking around. Outside of that one drive to start the second half, it was basically a perfect game from this Ducks defense, where they kept them completely in check. Again, 62 rushing yards, 138 passing yards for Minnesota for a total of 200 yards. Would have been nice for them to get it sub 200, but I think they'll take this performance.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
And they got out healthy too. That's not on the stat sheet, but I think that's worth mentioning is Oregon did not lose. I don't play linebacker for them. They didn't lose anybody.
I'm intrigued to see what the injury report looks like next week against USC when some guys might come back healthy. We will take a quick break, hear from the coach, Dan Lanning, and his thoughts about this one as the Ducks win 42-13 over Minnesota. Take a quick break, get a weather and traffic update from Brandon first, though.
Here's your Ducks traffic report. Roads looking clear around the stadium. Got a couple of police cars spotted on the I-5 North near Salem. Keep an eye out for those if you're heading back up towards Portland. As for weather, 57 degrees in Portland. The Ducks post-game forecast calls for 58 and cloudy tomorrow. Next Saturday against USC, expect 55 and rain.
Pros don't just show up. They prove how it's done. With precision
1-yard line under center. Go back, hand it off. Harris going to go right. Harris trying to get the edge. Harris gets the edge and the touchdown. Jay Harris. His first touchdown of the year. And that's just a my speed against your speed. I beat you.
Dick Hanna Dealerships presents the Postgame Scoreboard Show on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1, 1080, and the Odyssey app.
Welcome back into the Dick Hanna Dealership Postgame Scoreboard Show. You've heard plenty from us. Let's hear from the head coach, Dan Lanning, about the Oregon Ducks' victory over Minnesota, 42-13.
Coach, short week after a physical game on the road, and the result speaks for itself. But what did you see in the preparation leading up to this week that led to that result?
Yeah, I was really pleased with how our players were able to switch quick. And you lose a day, how can you use that time? I thought they did a good job of attacking every day of practice and being ready for their opportunity.
Been a lot of great quarterbacks to play at the University of Oregon, and Dante Moore today set a completion percentage record on his day. What did you see from number 5 with a receiving core that wasn't at full strength?
Yeah, well, I saw a receiving core that went and attacked the ball today, right? There were some unbelievable catches. I saw a quarterback that was operating at a really high level and good protection up front, so all those things helped.
Football is a war of attrition, and you guys have been fighting that right as of late. What does that say about the depth of this team and the resilience of them?
Well, it really goes back to the beginning of the year when we talked about strength and numbers, and this is where it starts to pay off. When you're called and your number's called, you got to be ready for your opportunity. We had some guys do that today.
Efficiency, the name of the game today, 510 yards of total offense, but defensively holding them to 2.5 yards per carry. What did you see up front from your guys on the defensive side?
Yeah, anytime that we're able to, slow a team down when it comes to running the ball, we've had a lot of success. And, ultimately, I think they were right around 200 yards total offense. That's going to be a win for us.
11 guys catch a pass. You said playmakers were making plays all over the field. Kenyon Sadiq back, he was making some incredible catches on the field. What does he do for your offense, spacing-wise, attracting so much attention?
Yeah, he's just a real threat. It's like playing with a wide receiver out there. And obviously he attacks the ball, and he's strong with it once he has it. So it's great to see a healthy kid out there tonight.
Now you guys get an extra day, not a day less, but an extra day moving forward into a big game with USC. What are you expecting to see come next Saturday against the Trojans?
We'll expect their best. They're playing good football. Obviously, they got a big game tomorrow. We'll use that day for recovery and then get right into USC.
Congratulations on another win. 1-0 on the week, Coach.
Appreciate it, Dusty.
That was head coach Dan Lanning after the victory with Dusty Hara on the Learfield IMG broadcast. Dusty brought up the rushing defense, and I just wanted to clarify because the last segment I was kind of throwing out like, oh, what are they ranked in the country for their defense?
They have the first passing defense by numbers.
Yep, yards per pass, pass yards per game, number 1 in the country. Rushing defense.
I think Iowa still leads the country in that.
Coming into this game, they were number 31 in rush yards per game, giving up just over 121. That will go down, I'm sure.
Iowa's top at 90. Oregon obviously ran over them last week, but that's how good the top rushing defense is in the nation.
3.3 yards per carry coming into this game. Obviously, that will go down. That was good for 19th in the country. And then yards per game that this defense was giving up, 238.8, which was good for number 2 in the country. Coming into this. They just gave up 200. So I anticipate that average obviously will go down, and we'll see if it's good enough to be the number 1 defense in the country. I think Ohio State, though, is I think they might be less than 200.
They've only given up like 70 points all season.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
We will wrap things up next here on the Dick Hanna Dealership post-game scoreboard show. But first, one last traffic and weather for you folks out there on the road heading back from Autzen Stadium. Brandon, take it away.
Yes, sir. Here's your Ducks traffic report. Roads are looking clear now around the stadium. Everyone just get home safely, please. Mind your speed as you're heading up the I-5 North. There are several police cars spotted near Albany and Salem. As for weather, 57 degrees in Portland. The Ducks postgame forecast calls for 58 and cloudy tomorrow. Might see some rain overnight. Next Saturday against USC, expect rain with a high of 55.
Dusty here for Mountaintop Metal Roofing. Finding a company to install a new roof doesn't have to be a grueling process. It doesn't have to be one you have to do twice. That's why we went to Mountaintop Metal Roofing. A lifetime warranty, one roof for as long as you own your home. Energy efficient, quiet,
congratulate each other, and we'll move to next week. Final score, Oregon 42, Minnesota 13. That was an impressive performance by this football team.
Dick Hanna Dealerships presents the Postgame Scoreboard Show on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1, 1080, and the Odyssey app.
Final segment here for the Dick Hanna Dealership Postgame Scoreboard Show, and I will just back up what Jerry said and emphasized right there. Just a great win by this football team. It really was a team effort. You could look at the box score and say, damn, Dante Moore just shredded them today. Or what a game for Kenyon Sadiq. But really, I mean, again, hitting 9 different receivers throughout this game. The three-headed rushing attack that this Oregon running back room now has. The defense, just another impressive week by them. It's just, you know, I know that when we have these big wins and we see these big victories by Oregon, it seems like everything is coming up roses and everything's great. But it really is comforting when you are playing a lesser opponent and you take care of business like this. I understand your sentiment about Iowa last week kind of playing down to their game, but, you know, Iowa does a great job of doing that with teams. But basically, like I said last week, grabbing you by the collar and dragging you to hell with them,
especially
right?
In their place.
Yes, exactly. So,
that.
but when you play the Minnesotas, who have yet to win a game on the road, I mean, they have scored a couple touchdowns this year on the road, and that was against Cal in their first road game of the year. When you go and travel across the country and play a Rutgers, and you play these lesser opponents, and you're able to do what you did tonight and show that talent gap, that difference in your team's abilities over these lesser opponents, this is the kind of stuff that gets Oregon fans excited about what the rest of the season has in store for them.
I mean, I'm just frustrated, I guess, talking about like Oregon playing down to an opponent, because I think Ohio State, best team in the nation, obviously, they're not going to have that bad of a game against an Iowa, right? And Oregon, not as good as we thought they were until today. Maybe it's just kind of been that up and down, you know, season.
It's been
for
a roller
me.
coaster.
Not sure
I get it.
what Oregon actually is. I want them to be elite. They're probably not. So yeah, but still, good teams should not play down to their opponent. But beyond that, they got right today. It was from the start, like I said to open the show, Joe, a nice long drive to open the game for Oregon. This might have been their best overall opening drive down to the goal line all season. Played with their foot a bit. They got Davison in. And you look at Minnesota on defense during that first drive, you're coming in as Oregon, and you're like, okay, this is their best effort. It's tough. They made the run hard at times, but we can handle it just fine. It just didn't concern me seeing Oregon come out from the gate like that, firing on all cylinders. And hopefully they can continue that the rest of the season, because that obviously is when Oregon can play their best.
Well, and I will say, just as far as the timing of being able to have a game where the elements do not play a factor and you're able to work on things and iron some things out before a huge game next week, a big game in a couple weeks against Washington, just closing out the regular season. I mean, again, we'll all have our eyes on this Iowa USC game tomorrow.
Yeah.
But definitely a great sign for this team, taking care of business this week and heading into a big game against USC.
Ooh, that's going to be a huge one. Actually, looking to be the biggest game of the season at this point. I would say bigger than Penn State, because Penn State now shockingly defeated 0-6 in conference play. I know that's not how it started, but nobody had this USC game as big as it was on the schedule, but it is going to be a whopper, Joe.
As the season has played out, yep, this has just been magnified and gotten bigger as the games have gone on. And again, if USC takes care of business against Iowa, it will be even bigger. Playoff implications for sure. Jordan, appreciate you as always.
Appreciate you. Love you all. Go Duckies, everybody.
Brandon, appreciate you.
Friday Night Quackdown.
Yes, definitely. And if you're still up with us, appreciate you. Get home safely if you came back from Monson. We will catch you all next week, but you can catch me, Jordan, and Rashad tomorrow morning on Sports Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on the Fan Sports Network. But again, thank you all there for hanging with us. And of course, go Ducks. Peace.
This has been the Dick Hanna Postgame Scoreboard Show.